The following program, though incredibly nerdy, is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and you probably shouldn't watch if you're an overly sensitive pussy.
Why, hello there, and welcome on in. I don't know if my voice sounds different or not, but I have to speak just a little bit differently than normal, because my jaw hurts still. Anyway, what up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. What up? How's everybody doing out there, man? What's up? What up, what up, what up? Hello, welcome on in. How are you? Yeah, no, it's, I had a surgery on Monday. I don't know if it's technically they did kind of cut into my jaw, to get the tooth or whatever, but it was just to extract a tooth. Man, I'll tell you, like, bro, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had a tooth extracted or if you've had one recently, but like they dead ass just like numb you up, grab that sucker, and like my whole head was like being like fucking ripped around and shit. Then they had to like cut into the jaw to get it a little out or whatever. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience. I'm feeling good. Actually, yesterday I felt like incredible. Today it hurts a little bit, so we'll just play it by ear. I'm not really sure. If it starts really hurting after some time of talking, I'll probably just call the stream early or whatever, but we got plenty to talk about today, plenty of stuff to get into, so should be a good show and a good stream, as long as you guys can kind of hear me at this volume and we can do it with this level of intensity. Just don't trigger me too much so I don't yell, you know what I mean? That's your goal today, chat. You just have to be 30% better than usual. You think you can handle it? Okay, great. Wonderful. Warhammer sucks. Oh, okay, yeah, that's not really the direction I was thinking. With Chad and the 30% better and all of that. But yeah, no, totally. Anyways, how you guys doing, man? What's going on in the world? What's going on out there, chat? How y'all doing out there? I have a meeting at 1 p.m. Important shit. Okay, that's good to know. I hope it goes well for you, man. Rage bait stream. I mean, aren't they all a little rage baity, huh? I'm so over waiting on the trailer. It drops when it drops. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I guess we could talk a little bit about the trailer. So I released the breakdown video Sunday night, and it was kind of awkward because I was actually wanting to do it sooner because I just thought it would leak out. Like, I just thought it would leak out, or they might release it maybe on Friday or something. And so I was waiting, and then it got to the point where, like, I was like, okay, well, now I feel like I have to get it out on Sunday in case they release it on Monday. I got the surgery coming up or whatever. Still nothing, man. Still nothing. And I would say at this point, and it's all just conjecture, I think at this point we're all just speculating, but I think at this point we're going to probably wait, man. Like, if it was going to come out, I really feel Friday would have been the day publicly. And it does remind me a little bit of the very first Infinity War trailer, which had Thanos, and everybody saw Thanos throw a moon, and then we waited like 6 months before that was released publicly, and I was like, whoa. So, yeah, maybe something similar to that. And I do wonder what you guys think about like that. Like, yo, is that tough? Wow, okay. Wow, buddy. Okay, all right. So hang on. We got a little message here from Rossi. Doc, couldn't move the stone out of my Johnson. Doctor had to push it back up into my bladder. Needs surgery now. Insurance doesn't kick in until the 6th. Wow, that's rough, brother. Well, just try to stay strong. You got like what? Was that like 15 days or 16 days? So it's kind of funny. Something similar happened with me. It wasn't like an insurance thing. It was just a scheduling thing. I couldn't get the tooth removed for over a month, and it was really bothering me. Like, a lot of you guys like didn't even notice because like I was just trying to keep it chill or whatever, but for the last month I was in like a lot of pain, but not like constantly, but like, yeah, definitely. And one of the things that just helped me, Rossi, was just like understanding inside like my spirit that I knew I was going to be okay. Like, I had the appointment to get it out, I had antibiotics just in case, like I had like everything I need, and it's just like it can make the suffering a little bit easier when you know there's relief coming. So just try to stay strong, brother. I'm glad they didn't, have to fillet your Johnson or anything like that. Braden says, 28 months, baby. Hope the family's doing well and blessed. Got my first kiddo coming in July. Your chats on the topic have eased some of my nerves. Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, no, I mean, dude, it's appropriate to be afraid of that shit, though. It's a big deal having a kid. And I think there's an appropriate level of fear that comes with that. But eventually, like, you're gonna get a handle on it, and the fear should be, something that kind of drives you or moves you in a direction of growth. For me, both of my kids really made me step up, man. Liam made me step up quite a bit, and then Athena made me step up. And the thing that was funny about Athena was like, I thought I was getting out of YouTube, actually. I thought I was done with this shit. I just wanted to make Unity and just do comic book stuff. And then she came and really changed things. So, yeah, you'll be fine, bud. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And let me see here. I think I missed another chat coming up. Soul Jacker, welcome. Oh, 4 months. Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back to the Nerd Avengers now. You know what else is funny, too? And I'm going to say this. Like, I thought about not saying this. Like, maybe I shouldn't say this because it's like a little personal or whatever. But so this tooth, right? Like, I didn't realize this, but this thing had been plaguing me for like 8 years. And actually, my whole face on this side had, I forget the word they used, but it was like, it's like a slow infection. Like, my whole face and my lymph nodes were constantly swollen over here because of this tooth. So basically, like, it's just so good to get that out, and I feel like I'm gonna start feeling so much better and even looking so much better. And it's just like, it's so crazy that one little thing that I did, because it was like basically what it was like a hidden cavity. If you've ever seen a cavity where the enamel is like completely intact except for like one little thing, that's basically what happened, and then it like cracked or whatever. But yeah, it's just wild. Like, there's pain and stuff from the surgery and whatnot, but I also, like, my body, it almost feels like my whole body's like a sigh of relief, you know what I mean? So shit's crazy, bro. Like, it's just, dude, crazy, Take care of yourself. Take care of your health, for sure. Zach says, Josh, hope the surgery went well. It's good to have you back. Another banger this morning. I'm dying to hear this leak. Much love. Nerd Avengers for life. Yeah, it's going to be a good one, man. Today is going to be fun. So we want to talk about RPK confirming a bunch of stuff that we already kind of knew about the X-Men plan, which is cool, though. We'll go over it and be like, okay, any new details? What does this mean? Interesting. We're going to talk about Mark Ruffalo saying that Spider-Man's going to fight an alien. And then the big one, the big thing we got to talk about today is the fact that RDJ is likely to stay in the MCU as Doctor Doom after Secret Wars, but he will also stay as Iron Man, which I did not expect, actually, and that changes everything. You know what I mean? I know people get mad when I use that title or whatever. I mean, I don't really care. It's the internet. I have to do some form of clickbait to get the views. Hate the game, not the player. But yeah, in all seriousness, this one actually does change everything. So it's like, we really got to think about that, because at least for me, that changes basically every thought I had about the post-Secret Wars MCU reboot. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll get into that. I think that's one you're going to be pretty pithy. Like, we'll have a lot to get into there. Rossi says, a 20 spot. Appreciate that support, brother. Says, took off work today because they cut me up on the inside trying to remove the stone. Oof. Peeing is crazy painful. Should be fine tomorrow. I'm gonna have yeah, we talked forever. Okay. Hey, that is the path, brother. And just, again, like I said, buddy, just stay strong, you know, like, you're a strong guy, but just stay mentally strong, because you know the relief is coming. So you can suffer through this with knowledge that relief is coming. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say, but hell yeah. Joshua Kemble Bluegrass says, I've had 5 teeth extracted at once. I feel ya. Oh my God. That sounds pretty intense there. That sounds pretty intense, brother. That wasn't even close to what I had to deal with, so my heart goes out to you on that one. Zach, thank you for a gifted membership, man. It's very, very generous. And then Tommy Lee says, with a 10 spot, appreciate that support. Says, what up, Josh? Ain't been here in a fat minute. Had my first daughter in February, and I couldn't be happier. Good to see you, and hope the family as well. Much love, brother. Oh, that's so magical, man. Yo, having a daughter, like, I don't know. You know, sometimes I talk about this stuff, I feel... I know it's true for me. I just don't know what's true for other people. And sometimes, like, I feel like I'm maybe projecting a little bit too much, because everybody's got their own path to walk, right? But what I would say is, for me, man, like, having a daughter was, like, different, you know? And it as a man, there's something about having a daughter that's, like, it really does kind of change some fundamental ways that you see the world. And I think it has a little bit to do with... you know, what you would call, I guess, the anima, I think, is what Jung talked about. It's like the female side of the masculine that we sort of imprint on women. The thing that's really interesting about having a daughter is, like, you have this pure fatherly love, at least I do, and it's also so different than the love you have for any other woman in your life. Maybe your mom is a similar love, but it's like, it's just different. And it's really powerful. It's really magical. And of course, it's awesome to have a son. It's awesome just to have kids in general, I think. But yeah, good on you, man. Bob's your uncle. That's awesome. My name is Jeff says, just realized the actress who plays Heather in Dee Dee also plays Mother Coral in Acolyte. Really? That's, yeah, I mean, that's a good catch. You know what I mean? Like, good catch, I guess. That's a good connection, I guess, to have. Awesome. Anyway, what is up, man? We're going to get into some of these topics here in a second. I just want to catch up a little bit. How's everything going? You guys doing all right? Are you hanging in there out there in this crazy world? Rossi putting us to shame by sending massive supers, and he just started a new job. Yeah, he is... He's not just a tough guy. He's like, you know, the thing I've always liked about Rossi, and Rossi and I have butted heads. I butt heads with a lot of people. I don't know if you guys noticed this. I butt heads with a lot of people. So I've certainly butted heads with Rossi, but he's just so genuine that we've been able to find common ground and work things out. And I think Rossi's one of those guys that's like, he's just going to do his own thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, he's going to do his own thing, and I can respect that. What's up, boys? I'm late. Did I miss much? Nah, brother. I actually started late today myself, so you didn't miss anything. We're just catching up right now. My wife and I are expecting our 5th child in November. Holy crap. You know, I'd like to get up to 5 as well eventually, but dang, dude, it is a lot to juggle. Like, dude, it is a lot to juggle. So I don't know. For now, 2 is going to hold us just fine. 21 Seabass says, good morning, chat. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. YouTube Dark Saber says, did he really have to tell us Heather is in Star Wars? I'm so miserable now. Yeah, dude. I don't really know too much what to do with that or whatever, but I mean, I guess it's a good whatever, you know. He figured it out. Credit to him. Tommy Lee, welcome back to the Nerd Avengers, brother. Really appreciate you, man. Click Clack, member for 33 months, says, I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on Griffith sacrificing Guts and Co. I lean to your opinion, but I think it goes deeper than he planned or didn't plan to. Oh, yeah, okay. So you think it goes deeper than he planned or didn't plan to? I mean, I would kind of agree. I mean, one of the things that's interesting about Berserk is there's an idea of, like, there's a lot of the narration in both the manga and the anime sort of begs this question of, like, is destiny set or whatever, right? And I think especially in the later chapters of Berserk, it does explore the ideas that, like, you know, Griffith was sort of fated to do that. And so I do understand what you're saying, but this idea is so much more complicated than just, like, could we figure it out for Berserk? Because it's really the reality of, like, well, how do you balance free will and destiny just in general? And the way I've always thought of that is, like, you have free will, but you also have a destiny, and destiny is kind of like a hallway. But how you choose to walk down that hallway and whatever doors you choose to open on your way down it is like up to you. You can actually turn around and walk further away from your destiny if you want to as well. So you have, kind of like a sort of a fate, if you will. But you are free to ignore that fate as much as you want. Does that make sense? Maul is amazing. Definitely brings back everything I love about Star Wars, says Sean. Well, I'm glad. You know what I mean? If that's really what's going on. Hey, there he is. What's up, Rob? Hope you're doing well, brother. Been thinking about you. You already know because I texted you, but I hope you're doing well, man. Hey, Sean, I'm so glad that you're liking Maul. I hope you don't feel as though I need to watch Maul to validate how you feel about it. But I am glad that you are enjoying it. Seeing Michael tonight, hyped for Mortal Kombat, also grew up on Tekken. Seeing Michael tonight. What does that mean? Am I missing something here? What if you can't walk? Wait, what? Josh, did you see Favreau's comments that Mando Season 4 was supposed to tie into Ahsoka 2 and Thrawn? Oh, yeah. You know, it's funny. We talked about that, I think, on... Oh, no, we didn't talk about it. Oh, my God. Okay, so this is funny. You guys will hate this, but some of you will find it funny. So I actually did see those comments from Favreau. Monday, I recorded a clip about it. I recorded a Star Wars clip about Favreau's comments. And I watched the clip back, and I was just like, damn, dog. Like, you got to stop talking about Star Wars, because it was so fucking negative, dude. Like, I know a lot of you are probably like, yeah, no, we know. But I was like, yeah, here's what Jon Favreau said about Mando. And I just tore into him. So... unfortunately for me, none of that is doing much for me or getting me excited, and in fact is, just adding to my frustrations or whatever. But look, when Ahsoka Season 2 rolls around, I suppose that'll be the difference, right? Like, we'll see, like, because kind of what John said was the original version of Season 4 of Mando was going to set up Ahsoka Season 2. They changed it so that now Ahsoka Season 2 just handles all of that, which meant which is probably why Ahsoka Season 2 took 3 years, right? So, yeah, they make that adjustment, and now, like, it kind of feels like what John's saying is, like, this Mando movie doesn't matter at all. You know what I mean? And that doesn't... I mean, that's not getting me excited, you know? I don't know. Oh yeah, I could call Rob. What do you want to get into, bud? I mean, look, Rob, if you want to talk right about the biggest, dopest shit, the big rumor today, bud, is that not only is it probable that RDJ is going to be back playing Doom after the reboot, but he's probably back playing Tony Stark as well. Which, I'm going to be honest with you, Rob, I'm processing that. That is not, I did not expect that. So, and it could be a rumor. It's coming from My Time to Shine. You know, she's a troublemaker, etc. But I definitely have heard the Doom thing before. The Doom thing was told to me years ago. And I know a lot of people didn't believe it. But yeah, so now it's like Doom and Stark are both back, played by RDJ. What could that possibly mean? Yeah. Fandom more, remember, what? Memorandum. Sorry, the Fandom Memorandum podcast, the 5 Spot. Appreciate the support. Says started a pod in January. Been putting out short and long form content and just started streaming this week. What motivates you to keep pushing content? That's like a weird question to answer because the truth is, like, here's what I'll tell you. I'll answer the question this way because I think this will help you. You need to build a system that makes it as easy as possible for you to just make content. And like, I'll just be like 100% real with you. The last month was a little shaky for me, just on a personal level. There was a 2-week period where I didn't publish a single video on the main Den of Nerds channel, okay? But I actually made basically just as much money as I always make every month, and a part of why was the streams and the clips channel made like even more money than usual. And what allowed me to do that was the system. So meaning like I've done this so many times that even if I wasn't feeling 100%, even if I was feeling really bad, maybe I was at 30% capacity, I could still get up here, do my stream, get like, 3 to 5 clips out of a stream, and then post them fairly easily. So it's not about motivating you. Like, that's the wrong way to think about it, because motivation, ironically, is never there for you when you really need it. So what you need is leverage, because you need to know that it will be difficult. So make it as frictionless as possible. So you need leverage, not motivation. Bubble Guts, welcome to the Nerd Avengers. You are a Nerd Avenger. Now, Rob wants to talk about the Mando movie? Fuck no, dog. Let's chit chat. All right, buddy, I'll give you a call in just a second here. Let me just double check my soupy chats here. Make sure everything's chilling. And let's get Rob on the horn, huh? Hey, let's get Rob on the horn here, huh? All right, let me shut that off. Get this going here. All right, Rob, give me a second here, brother. Get you on the Discord here. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Dang, Rob, it must have been a while since we had a chat, because I'm having trouble finding... I'll find it. I'll find it. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll find it. Oh, wait. Is this Rob? What the hell? Hello. Yo, I got you, man. Just chat. Can you hear Rob? Let me just make sure. I might need to adjust the old Discord here. You know how it goes. So what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Hold on a second. Let me turn the monitors down real quick.
Okay, they should be able to hear you now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can hear myself for some reason, which is kind of weird.
Oh, is it giving you an echo?
No, it's on my end.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, okay, bro.
Dude, the other day this happened, and I think we're good.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, good. All right. Whew.
Okay. People are accusing you of stealing McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, dude, definitely. I actually had to do that before a couple times back in the day.
Did you really?
Yeah. When I was living in Philly, the internet went out at my house, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I gotta upload this video, so I had to go Starbucks.
Apparently, I'm on a mono voice, and Josh, you're muted.
No way. All right, let me see here. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I had to run. Wow, they just. Okay, now are we good now, chat? Audio shit. Okay, fine. I fixed it.
Yeah, are we good?
I think so. I think you were fine, right? Am I crazy here? So let me see.
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, cool. Everybody's saying it's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, I can't stay on here too long, probably for about an hour or so. And I'm going to go get lunch with a buddy of mine. But yeah, okay, cool. So people would somehow convince themselves that like I was quitting. I don't know where that came from. Like
Yeah.
I explicitly said I am not quitting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Okay, so number one, I within like 3 days, the Avengers Doomsday trailer
Yeah.
drops during CinemaCon.
Yeah.
Eric Voss is flipping his shit,
Yes.
right? And then a buddy of mine, Victor, sends me a text and says, "Hey man, Campy is trying to get a hold of you." I'm like, "What the hell does Campy need to get a hold of me for?" Like, I'm down. Like, I'm
Yeah.
down to talk to Campy, but like, why does so Campy? If you happen to see this, right? I sent you an email, so I don't know if he's ever going to respond, but yeah, like, it's nuts. And then and here's look, okay, look, here's the thing. I don't like necessarily letting my ego get carried away,
Yes.
but there's an AI video circulating around the internet of Doctor Doom invading the Council of Doom.
Yes, there is. Yeah, the Council of
Or
Kings.
invading the
Yeah.
Council of Kings and
Shit's
killing them all.
lit, dog. Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, dude, I called that shit 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I made a
and
video on
it's-
that like 3 years ago. I made a video on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately,
I was like, wow.
I don't think Marvel's gonna do it. But like when I watched the vid of the AI vid, first of all, I was like, wow, somebody really like this isn't just slop. Like somebody actually, took some time there. But also like,
Yeah.
dude, that's cool. Like, dude, that was fucking cool. And I don't see why they wouldn't do something like that. I guess they just don't want to. They don't want any of the association, I guess. But
Yeah, I don't know. And then apparently Disney turns around and cans 1,000 people from Marvel.
yes, yes. Well, I think Disney fired, I think, more people. Well, I don't know, actually. It might just be 1,000 people. But yeah, so it was the visual effects department, and then they fired a bunch of people at Marvel Comics. I guess it was 3 big editors. There was a division at Disney. There was a division at Disney, like home entertainment or something, like maybe DVD or Blu-ray stuff. They fired a lot of people. So yeah, no, I mean, you left and a lot of shit happened. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's nuts. Okay, so bro.
Yeah, what do you think about the trailer? Let's start there. What do you think about the Doomsday trailer? Because obviously, like, we didn't get to see it. If you did, I'm very jealous because it didn't leak for anybody I saw. But I'm assuming you read the description and whatnot, right?
Yeah, I read the description. Honestly, I don't know that I would want to go to things like CinemaCon because I kind of like to experience it for the first time the same way everybody else does.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I don't really have a desire to do things like CinemaCon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It looks like the movie's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it looks like it's going to be. It looks like fan service.
Yeah.
Right. They were like, okay, we're coming out of phases 4, 5, and 6. We got to do something big. And it looks like Avengers Doomsday is going to be it. I mean, I think it's going to be lit. It's going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be exciting as hell. But yeah, I'll wait until the trailer comes out. Right? Like I'm excited to see it when the actual trailer drops. When that happens, man, I feel like it's going to explode. Like I know that Spider-Man Brand New Day like shattered records.
Yes.
For a trailer debut, but to be honest, man, I think Avengers Doomsday is going to do better than that. Like I think Avengers Doomsday it's gonna do numbers.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's like it's funny because I think because look, you and I have talked about this so many times over the past couple of years. Just the state of Marvel, and a little slippage here, a little slippage there, and then you don't stack as many wins, and it just feels like everything's falling apart, right? So it's funny to watch like the wider audience that totally believes that and feels that way, and sometimes maybe goes a little too hard on Marvel, in my opinion. And then the hype for Doomsday is just cutting through that. Like it seems to be so obviously hyped up and so obviously different than a lot of things we've gotten in the past couple of years that it's really cutting through a lot of the noise. And that was maybe the thing that surprised me the most about CinemaCon, because like CinemaCon's like a lot of snooty movie fans, more like cinephiles and whatnot. And so I wasn't expecting everybody in that room to be as blown away by the trailer, but dude, like it seemed like basically everybody that saw it was like, wow, like that's shockingly good and maybe better than I could have ever expected. So I mean, it definitely seems like they just got it with that one. I mean, there's a lot of questions about what would happen after this, right? Because like 2 good Avengers movies don't save an entire franchise. But at the same time, if ever you were going to back that money truck up and put your money where your mouth is and try to deliver something truly incredible, I think this was the time, right?
Oh, I mean, you can easily see where things are going from a mile away. Like that's the thing. Like it's one of the reasons why. Okay, so like for example, Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
Yeah.
Right. The fan in me wants Keith David to be playing like Anansi or something along those lines. If I'm a betting man, I'd bet all the money in my pockets to all the money in your pockets. He's playing the Jackal.
Yeah.
Right. He's gonna play Miles Warren. Right. Why? Well, because in Amazing Spider-Man number 31, Miles Warren debuts. Right when Peter Parker gets shuffled off to Empire State University. Right. And they're basically doing the other, right? Peter Parker emerges from the cocoon. There's a point where he shoots his webbing. You don't see his hand. That's obviously organic webbing. I don't know why Sony, I don't know who Sony thought they were fooling with that.
Yeah.
So you have the other plot line unfolding in the movie. Cool. What happened in the other? Well, Peter Parker thought he was dying. He was going through a metamorphosis or whatever it was. So he goes to visit Reed Richards, Hank Pym, Iron Man, Bruce Banner, T'Challa, and I think even Doctor Strange at one point in time. Okay, well, T'Challa's not part of the MCU anymore, although as I understand it, Damson Idris is being recast for T'Challa. Thank God, because some things are more important than the actor.
Yes.
Iron Man's dead. Reed Richards doesn't exist in the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I mean, who else is he going to go to? Well, he's going to go to Miles Warren. He's going to go to the Jackal, right? I mean, guy's like a genius when it comes to biology, right? So that's most likely who Keith David's going to play. Now, how they're going to turn him into a villain, I don't entirely know. Honestly, I don't even think they're going to do it until the second movie, to be quite honest.
Yeah, this might be like a soft setup, kind of how Scorpion was sort of soft setup and then becomes now fully Scorpion, you know?
Well, yeah, because I mean, when you think about Miles Warren, like for the first almost was it like 8 years, almost 10 years of his existence in Marvel Comics, he was like a background character, right? He was just a guy you would see in a panel walking into a building, right? While Peter Parker's talking to Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn, right? And so, most likely he's just going to play the Jackal, right? And he's just going to be one of the people Peter goes and talks to learn about, what's going on with him, and he can't reveal his identity, and yada yada yada, so on and so forth. So that's my bet there. But then you look at what comes after Avengers Doomsday. Like I saw a little piece of news or something like that said that Wolverine is not going to be part of the main X-Men roster post Doomsday.
Correct.
In Secret Wars. Okay, cool. So they're going the Ultimate Universe route, right? Where like Wolverine's just over there doing his thing, and then eventually he comes over, and probably he's sent over to the X-Men to assassinate them. Then he meets Jean Grey, and he's like, let's just touch naughty bits with this girl for a little while, and then I'll join the team, right? And like that's it, right? So they're probably going to end up going that route with his character. None of that really, it doesn't really shock me at all. I mean, going in the direction of the Mutant Saga, I mean, it opens up a whole new avenue. To the question about where they go after Doomsday, I don't know, because I still stick by the idea that the biggest issue the Marvel Cinematic Universe is running into is the same issue they've always been running into. Which is the comics universe, right? It's just too big sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, it's just so huge and so expansive. And that works in the world of comic books, right? Yeah. Because you can just become a fan of Spider-Man and that's it. But when you take that entire line of logic and you apply it to movies, then you're going to inevitably end up running into this situation where you have just like this great big, huge, gaudy monstrosity of a film universe. So they're going to have to take it like phase by phase by phase. Because if you keep stacking things up, then at the end of the day, you're going to inevitably run into this movie or this landscape where you basically have, Alpha Flight. If Disney ever decides to go with it, right, you get Big Hero 6 from Japan, right, all those guys. Because those guys who don't know, Big Hero 6 was not originally like Baymax and all that kind of stuff. It was not originally what you saw in the movie. Right. It was an actual Japanese superhero team. Silver Samurai, I think, was part of it, and Sunfire.
And by the way, that team was rumored at one time for Multiverse of Madness. That team, because of what you're talking about, not the Pixar movie or whatever, but like the older actual comic book stuff. So that's something they've been thinking about for sure.
Yeah. You end up running into that, right? You'd run into any number of other factors, right? And so it would just be so hard for the average person to keep track of, because even now, like in Marvel Comics, I mean, like if you sit down and you look at like any particular story arc that's happening in Marvel Comics, basically everything is happening at the same time, right? The events of Death Spiral are going on at the exact same time that Scarlet Witch is doing her thing, at the exact same time that there's a new Captain America on the scene, at the exact same time that Storm's doing all her stuff. But it's all happening at the exact same moment, right? And so take every Marvel comic book that you're reading right now, and then just say this is all happening at once, right? Within the same 1 week period. Right. And then sit down and say, let's turn that into a movie, right? Like it just becomes so overwhelming. Yeah, it's too much. Right? It can just be too much for people. And that's why I say, like, when you look at something like Disney canning all those folks at Marvel, I mean, it sucks, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
And as I understand, some of the motivations for them doing it is transitioning to AI for visual effects instead of people. I don't really like that. I think AI art's cool if you're like a tattoo artist looking for inspiration.
Sure,
but in terms of like replacing the entirety of the visual effects department at a movie studio,
it's crazy,
and replacing it with AI, that's that's not something that I can just morally support. Having said that, as far as the Marvel Comics side, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves, Josh, that was a long time coming, man. Like the truth about this, and it goes in waves. Those of you guys who are watching this, you're not overly familiar with like the history of Marvel and DC. It goes in waves, right? Like, I mean, DC Comics had some cool stories in the mid 2000s, right? I mean, you got Grant Morrison, and even going after the mid 2000s, right? You got Grant Morrison's entire run on Batman, which was great. Final Crisis, Multiversity, you had some cool stuff. Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman, his whole run, Hikatea, League of One, yada yada yada. You have some really really cool stories coming out of there. But if we're being honest with ourselves, in the mid 2000s, Marvel was eating DC's lunch. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's not a debatable point, right? I mean, Marvel was firing on all cylinders. Right. And the breadth of talent they had was incredible, right? I mean, you're talking about Craig Kyle, Chris Yost, Rick Remender, Matt Fraction, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Tom Taylor, Jonathan Hickman, Mark Millar. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, right? Yeah. You got Civil War, you got the entire Decimation era and the Endangered Species line of comics for the X-Men, right? Going all the way into like the heroic age, right? Pretty much anything Bendis was writing. I mean, you had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then like DC does New 52, it's okay, right? But Marvel just continues to dominate them.
Yeah.
And then what happens, right? You go into Avengers, New Avengers, you go into Secret Wars, you go into all new, all different Marvel, which is not all new or all different. And Marvel just screws the pooch.
Yeah.
They screw the pooch in the worst way. And then DC's just like rebirth, right? And I'll be honest, ever since then, like I would say, even with DC's low points, Future State, stuff like that.
Yeah, because even like the whole Deceased was like awesome. Like I think I think you're right. I think that was maybe the start of the shift. And then I would also and this is what some other people are saying, like Liefeld has talked about this a lot too, is like some of it's money, man. Like DC just had better, especially for international sales royalties, DC had better contracts. And so they were just like the talent would care more and do better and, all of that sort of stuff. And, I know it's a complicated industry or whatever, but yeah, it's like Marvel kind of became their own worst enemy. And I think what a lot of us are feeling is it's like a Disney thing. Because even these firings here, Rob, and I agree with you that the editors probably had to go. The Marvel Comics office has been a mess for probably close to 15 years. But I do think that that department at Marvel Studios was something Kevin wanted. It was like his thing. And I think Josh DeMarco kind of came in and wanted to assert his dominance and basically say like, hey, this doesn't make sense on my balance sheet. So I'm going to tell the greatest producer of all time, fire 1,000 people on your art department. And like that's a tension that's like, damn, that sucks. And I hope that Kevin's able to maybe get some of those people back or like figure that out. Maybe a little bit like he did with James Gunn, because it's a complicated situation because the comic side I totally see. I think the home entertainment side I totally see. And that art department at Marvel Studios was probably bloated. Like, there's no doubt. It was bloated. I mean, look at Phase 4 and 5. They were trying to do, 4 shows a year and 3 movies? Like, when you dial that back, you obviously do not need the same team. And that's always a danger when you expand a business. If you overextend, then you fire people to, contract. But yeah, it's a tough one. Marvel's been going through it, especially in their comic side.
Yeah, and that's why I say, I mean, you're 100% right when you say like it's not a super simple thing, right? I mean, it is complicated in a variety of ways. I mean, sure, like DC's currently putting the screws to Marvel.
Yeah,
right.
And they've been
doing that. Yeah, in the comics, and they've been doing that since 2016. But if I'm the brass at Marvel, right, and even at Disney, right, and I am looking at how DC's dominating that landscape, there's a part of me that's kind of like, well, how are their movies going to perform?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And what are the movies going to look like building off this material, right? This kind of stuff. Because I still say, right, Zack Snyder's entire era wasn't a bad thing, but Zack Snyder should have been doing his own thing outside of the main DC universe. He should have been doing Injustice. or something along those lines, right? It should have just been like its own movies over there.
No, I totally agree with you. And by the way, I think that's what it started out as. Like, it's a little bit of a hard story to parse out because, like, so Nolan didn't want to do the Batman, right? But he stayed on as a producer, and then you have David Ayer, and they were basically trying to like synthesize the sort of vibe of the Nolan stuff, but do a new thing. Dude, I don't think Zach was thinking about a franchise at all. Like, maybe a little bit, but then they were like, oh, dude, no Man of Steel 2, it's Batman v Superman now. That wasn't him at all. That's all Warner Brothers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, you're right. Like, if it had just been an Elseworld thing, I think Zach would have cooked maybe even harder and weirder, but it would have been okay.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I say, like, I mean, number one, Disney announced a while ago that they were going in the direction of producing less stuff.
Right.
Which means you need less visual effects people. Right. Right. So inevitably they were going to start cutting people loose. But I don't think anybody saw them coming along and cutting 1,000 people.
Yeah, it's tough, dude.
And so I don't know how much of that is due to the overbloated nature of the visual effects side or what. Like, as I understand it, for example, in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it took like 100 some odd people working almost a year, right? Like, to produce the visual effects for that movie.
Yeah.
Right. But that's 900 other people doing whatever they need to do. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And it is, it is disconcerting in a lot of ways. I was talking to Mariah about this yesterday when I was heading back from New York. And one of the big issues that I'm looking at down the road is Disney Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of paved the way for a lot of what happens in Hollywood.
Yes.
Right. Whether we like it or not, that's usually what ends up happening. And so when Disney's just like, everybody from the visual effects team's gone, we're moving in the direction of AI.
Kind of gives a lot of other studios, right? Yeah.
It gives everybody else. Yeah, exactly. Like, it gives them license to follow that exact same path. And so then the question becomes like, it becomes, how does that affect the rest of Hollywood? Right? If they start moving in the direction of using AI, then where are these visual effects artists going to go? Right? That kind of thing. Okay. So as I understand it, guys, it was the visual effects team that was laid off, and there were interviews coming out where they were saying how, like, costume designers and concept artists, they were already using AI.
Well,
and so
I think what it said, what I read, and I didn't read all the reports, but what I read was that there was tension between, because what we're talking about is a team of internal Marvel Studios employees that would often create internal things that were then given to their partners, like the studios they would outsource visual effects to. And apparently there was conflict there where, like, it's kind of unusual in Hollywood for, like, a VFX house to get a gig and then be so constrained. Like, basically Feige and this team had, like, strict design language protocols, like all these different things. And what I read was there was a bit of tension there because these outsourced people maybe wanted more freedom, more creative freedom to conceptualize and create their craft or whatever. But I don't know. I didn't read all of it, but that's just what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, you could spend a few weeks reading through all the interviews and all the leaks. And
there's more coming out too. So. Yeah, and you never know too, because, like, unverified stuff on Twitter is hard because it's like, is this really this person, or is this person just, causing problems, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell, but. Yeah, I don't know, man. I will say that as far as Avengers Doomsday goes, Marvel needs the win, man.
They do.
Because I think everybody can kind of look around the MCU and say, hey, look, we're really excited. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. But it's nuts, man, because everybody that I talk to, right? I mean, one of the Uber drivers that I had when I was going around New York, right? When I was coming from LaGuardia to the hotel, like, one of the Uber drivers that I had was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not really that big on the MCU anymore. And it was like, why? And it's like, because, I don't know, they just don't really make anything that's exciting, and that, I think, is like the general consensus among the casual fan base. Like, people aren't overly hyped. I think Avengers Doomsday is going to bring a lot of that back.
Yeah.
But I think there's a big difference between a flash in a pan and sustainability.
No, you're
and
right.
So
that's so
true.
Yeah.
Like Avengers Doomsday. And okay, so that's a weird thing, because from what you were talking about before, and what, like, Eric and Campia and Paul and all those guys were talking about before, is that the rumor was that RDJ was coming back for Doctor Doom, and that was going to be it, right? He was coming back for Doom for like Secret Wars and Avengers Doomsday and then Avengers Secret Wars. And they were effectively going to soft reboot.
Right.
They were just going to be like, okay, like we're going to new Earth that, which I still say they're going to do. They're going to new Earth that shit, right? They're going to take the entire multiverse, wipe it out. We got one timeline, boom. And that's it. But that RDJ was going to be a one-off. And we were essentially going to get a new Doom. Right. And I think a lot of people were pointing at things like Moon Knight, where he was like taking a package to Latveria or something along those lines.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's like Latveria exists in the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so that means there's a Doom most likely in the main Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we haven't seen him. And so there were all kinds of rumors going around, right? That like RDJ's Doom is like, a Tony Stark who was basically had his body swapped, because I remember making that video when they announced it at San Diego a few years ago.
Yep.
And, it was kind of like, okay, like nobody really knew what was going to happen. But that post-Secret Wars, RDJ was done.
Correct. That's what people thought.
But you're saying the rumors, are saying that RDJ is sticking around as Doctor Doom. He's going to be the Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe after Secret Wars. Dude, if that's true, that's a terrible idea.
Okay, well, first,
that's a terrible idea.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's first talk. So first of all, I do want to know why you think that's a terrible idea, but then we got to talk about why it's even crazier than that, and you might even think it's even worse than that because of what the newest rumors are. But so for clarity's sake here, so why do you think? Because again, you just explained that, and I think you're totally right. Most people, when we thought this was happening, it felt like one more ride or whatever, right? Like a one more job, like a villain retired or whatever, or a bank robber retired, and it's just one more gig, But yes, now the rumors are starting to indicate that he might stay as Doctor Doom in the MCU past Secret Wars, and you think that's a terrible idea. Tell me why.
Because everybody loves RDJ as Iron Man.
Yeah.
Right? When they see RDJ, they see Iron Man. And it was summed up perfectly by my sister. I asked her, right, when they announced RDJ as Doom in San Diego, right? I asked her, I remember this distinctly. I was like, so what do you think about that? And she was like, I don't like it. And I was like, why? And she was like, because he had his time, right? Like RDJ had his time, he's Iron Man, right? It doesn't make any sense for him to be Doctor Doom. It should have been somebody else, right? And somebody else have their chance in limelight. But the issue with that, on top of all that, is number one, RDJ is not going to take less money. Yeah, right? I have a hard time believing. Yeah, I have a hard time believing that like they worked out a contract where they're like, okay, we're going to pay you basically like somewhere in the ballpark of like $100 to $200 million. For a combination of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. I don't know exactly how much he's making, but it's $100 million, I imagine.
I think they said it was over 120. I think that's what the trades reported. So. Yeah,
so somewhere between 1 and 2, right? Yeah. It's not as though he's gonna be like, sure, I'll do that, and then I'll just go back to making like $10 million per movie,
yes,
right, or something like that.
You're right.
Like the reality is, they just won't be able to afford him, right? And so. Not only that, when you're talking about someone as high profile as both Doctor Doom and Tony Stark, the issue that you run into here is they're major players.
Yes,
right. Like RDJ is a huge he built the MCU house.
Oh yeah.
Doctor Doom is a major name. Right. There's a reason why whenever you see Doctor Doom in Marvel Comics, he shows up in the Fantastic Four, does some Fantastic Four stuff. But whenever you see Doctor Doom, you want to see like something big. Whenever you see Doctor Doom show up in the comics, you expect something big to happen.
Agreed. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what people are going to expect here. Right. And so the reality here is, if they're going to do Doctor Doom in the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and granted, he's not going to appear in every single movie.
Yeah.
Right. But when they do Doctor Doom in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're going to have, because of the fact that it's RDJ, people are going to want to see entire events built around him.
Oh, yes. Right?
Entire scenarios built around him.
Yes.
And if they're going in the direction of the mutant saga, you can do that in some ways, right? You can have Doctor Doom, attack the mutants or whatever. But the whole story of the mutant population in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is they represent every minority group ever that has been disenfranchised in any capacity whatsoever.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So that means you're talking about Friends of Humanity. It means you're talking about the right. It means you're talking about just any human being out there. You're talking about the very government itself.
Any human being that goes through puberty. There's an otherizing that happens in puberty. I'm sure you remember what that was like in school. You go through those changes and it otherizes you.
Well, I'm not even talking about that, right? I'm just talking about the various forces they would face, right? You're talking about Wide Awake. right? You're talking about Operation Zero Tolerance.
Okay, yeah.
You're talking about any number of things that they can go into.
Right.
And so the reason why I say all that matters is because now you're going to have RDJ as Doctor Doom. People are going to want to see RDJ as Doctor Doom more frequently.
Yes.
But then you also have to build up the mutant side.
You're right.
Right, which means you got to have Magneto, right? Which means you have to build up the story of mutants being, attacked by any group that exists out there. How are you going to square that circle? The only way I can see them doing that is if Doctor Doom is like an Avengers and a Fantastic Four threat, and the mutants are kind of isolated doing their own thing, which isn't the worst thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's
let me play. Yeah, no, it's okay. Let me play a little devil's advocate here. We can have a fun little conversation about this because look, you could be right. Marvel could be making an incredible fucking mistake. You know what I mean? Like if this is real. But let me just play devil's advocate to you a couple of things. So you said that they can't afford him, and I would say like that totally makes sense. Like rationally, you're right. His contract's not going to stop, and to your point, he's not going to take less. In fact, I don't think he can. Like, I don't think his agent would let him. I don't think the guild would let him. Like, do you remember when, I remember there were a couple of pitchers that were negotiating these, like, absolutely absurd contracts. And I remember, like, watching some of the sports commentary where people were like, why would he need that much or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, why is it that high? And the truth is, it actually has to do with the guild. It's like a union. And so from the union's perspective, every union member must absolutely go for as much as they are worth, like to the umpteenth degree. So the union of the actual Actors Guild would maybe not even let Downey take less money. Like, does that make sense? So like you're absolutely right that he is a huge cost that will not get cheaper. Okay. But I would say two things to sort of to the counter of that. I would say number one, Hollywood in general is working on bringing costs down tremendously, and I think that, AI will be a part of it. But in general, I think just technology. It's just really a technology thing. So they're going to start trying to strip out a lot of the production costs, and the actors might end up being one of the most expensive things that still are left. And that would make sense to me. The other thing I would say is it really depends on how well Doomsday and Secret Wars do, because you could say that Marvel can't afford him, but if those movies make like 2.5 billion each, or like let's just say 5 total plus, right, then you could make the argument that Marvel cannot afford to not pay him, because if you look at box office since Endgame and then you turn around and look at what's about to happen with these two big movies with RDJ, you could make the argument that, no, if you're going to spend money, which you're always spending money when you make a production, spend money wisely, spend money in a way that will gain you revenue, and paying RDJ's absurd salary might actually be that. And then the third and last thing that I would say is the split role thing might be the way to square the circle completely, because I don't think he's actually getting more money for playing two characters, which seems silly, but that could be the way that he's throwing a bone to Disney. So in a sense, he's still getting that contract, but they're getting like double duty out of him. Does that make sense? So you could maybe square the circle with those three things. What do you think?
I mean, to the point, because somebody in the chat posted up the idea that the X-Men kind of have to be isolated because they have to start the school, but that's only a moment.
That's
right?
True.
I mean, you can do that in one movie, right? And so it's like, cool, now we have the school. What comes next? And then they kind of graduate out into the greater cinematic universe. But and I don't know, maybe that's the direction they're going in, right? I mean, maybe the direction they're going in is they're focusing more on just pockets as opposed to telling one cohesive story that involves everyone. But again, I think you risk overcomplicating your landscape by doing
that's absolutely fair. Now, one thing I've heard that might maybe, like, you could see them trying to solve the problem. Again, we don't know if it's going to work. We got to see it in action. But it seems like they want to do a lot more teams and a lot fewer solo movies. So that could help in a sense, because technically then it's more character, more connection, more like emotional things for the audience to like grab onto, as far as like, the differences. And because I thought Thunderbolts was great because of the ensemble and their conflict and the way that they all operated together. So yeah, maybe like that's the way you do it, because then 2 movies a year, each team has, let's say, 6, you got a dozen Marvel characters and connected stories. pushing through. It's at the same time complex enough to feel like it's a connected shared story, while maybe streamlined enough to like not be as confusing. Because I think that's part of what happened with Phase 4 and 5 was like, we don't need a Miss Marvel show as well as an Agatha all along. It should have always been Champions, and it should have been just all of them together, and then it's do you know what I'm saying? Like that, because that's the way it's less confusing actually.
Okay, chase that line of thought. I'm kind of curious where you're going with it.
Well, I guess if I were to take it further, it's something like the way they set up Avengers originally was Tony, Thor, Cap, and Hulk, right? And actually, they do Hulk second, because they really wanted Norton and Downey. That would have been a really crazy one, too, by the way. But it didn't work, and then they go more into Steve. But that definitely worked back then because it's just an Avengers team. It's literally 6 people. So you can build 4 movies and then connect them, and it's not that complicated. But when you go into where we're at now with, like, you don't only just have the team of Avengers. You literally have 2 teams of Avengers. You have all these Avengers adjacent characters. You have all the characters that had the shows. You've got all the new characters like your Shang-Chi's, your Miss Marvels, She-Hulks, and all that, right? So I think, like, if you like, instead of a lot of the crap that we got in Phase 4 and 5, what if we had just had like Avengers Initiative, and it's literally a show all about bringing these people in to be the new Avengers. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that would have been so much easier to follow. I feel like you would have gotten more out of these characters because you would have watched them interact with each other, which is really where the juice is at, as opposed to like, watching 2 hours of Shang-Chi kind of on his own. Yeah, I think that's like a better way to do it. And it does kind of line up with what I've heard, because you got Midnight Suns, X-Men, maybe an X-Men show with like the Gifted Youngsters. You are going to have Avengers movies still. You might have a Brotherhood of Mutant thing going on. So it really does seem like Nova Corps, maybe. Like it seems like that is. It seems like that might be what it is, man.
I mean, I could see that, and it's not a terrible idea. I mean, one of the cool things about Thunderbolts is they did a lot of character explanation within the movie to flesh them out. Now, having said that, I mean, Ghost, right?
That was
Ant-Man. Like Taskmaster from Black Widow and Yelena from Black Widow. So a lot of the characters already had their backgrounds explored.
That's true.
By the time you got around to the movie, but an important thing to know is that on average, the TV shows don't do anywhere near as well as the movies, both in terms of viewership and in terms of the amount of money that the MCU makes. Right. So you could, so a good example of this is like Billy, right? Like Billy Kaplan, right? So for example, like if you're a comic book fan, if you never read the Young Avengers special, the one shot where he sits down and has a conversation with Scarlet Witch outside of Avengers Mansion, it's like the Avengers assembled, yada, yada, yada. Even if you never read that, you go into Children's Crusade, you get everything you need within like that single run that tells you everything about him, right? And the fact that he is the child, him and Tommy are the children of Scarlet Witch. Now, granted, that was kind of the whole basis behind that story, was to explore that. But it is to say that in a movie, you could do the same thing. And if they end up going the approach of the Young Avengers, right, where they're basically just kind of like, here are Young Avengers members who decided to become a team after taking up the mantle of the Avengers when they were essentially out of the picture, because between the Thunderbolts and the Avengers team right now, there really isn't much in the way of anybody protecting Earth. Right.
Yep. That's a problem. And it might be by design too. It could have been to divide and conquer.
Yeah. But I mean, we already have like, and I think they're in the process of assembling it, right? Like we already have Kate Bishop. There's a few others here and there, right? But kind of creating a movie that's an ensemble cast, right, where they have some kind of powwow in the movie, right? They're just sitting around watching some movie, right? And it's just like, well, where are you from? What's your story? And like within the span of like 10 minutes, you just learn everybody's origin or who they're modeled after or something like that. And you're like, cool, I know that guy, done, right? And then you just go into the movie itself, right? I mean, they essentially did that in Thunderbolts when they were all trapped in the room in the beginning.
No, right? You're right. They're 100%, yeah.
Yeah, so that's entirely a direction they could go in. But again, that's why I say that if the movies decide to go in that direction, it would have to be done very carefully, because as comic book fans, we're used to that. Right. As comic book fans, we're 100% used to this kind of disconnected landscape while simultaneously knowing everything's happening at the same time.
Yes.
right? But just because we're used to that does not mean the average person that watches these movies are used to it.
Yep.
So yeah, like it'd be very easy to overcomplicate their landscape very, very fast.
Yeah, and you also kind of run the risk of like it seeming gimmicky. Like if every Marvel movie became a team movie and it was like super obvious, like you know what I mean? Like it might feel a little too inorganic. And people would be like, yeah, all they do is team movies now. You know what I mean? So like it's always an evolving process of like kind of trying to listen to the audience, understand where they're at. But I would say that something that's like just I think is so true about phase 4 and 5 and the Multiverse Saga falling off is that Marvel used to be at the bleeding edge of making fanboy dreams come true. And whether it was actually seeing Bucky as the Winter Soldier for the first time, which it used to just be like, it was cool enough to just see the comic book things done for the first time, like really appropriately in the MCU. There was a time where that novelty carried them forward. Like that was the bleeding edge. And then it was like the cameos. And then of course, Infinity War and Endgame, the amount of actors is still kind of mind boggling, right? So they just used to like exceed our expectation pretty consistently. And phase 4 and 5 just played the old hits in a lot of ways. Now it had new characters, but it was pooling for the same fan service. And I don't think they met the audience where they appropriately were. And maybe now with Doomsday, it does feel like they're going to do that again. Like they've figured out a way to get there to actually have fans' expectations blown away. But kind of thing we've been saying this whole time is like, that's relatively easy to do with a big event movie when you bring RDJ back. Can you carry that forward into the X-Men, into these new teams? And it's like, it is tricky, but they have to figure that out, you know?
Yes. Well, that's why I say, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. The idea sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Right. But
just when you
it just has risks, right? And while I don't necessarily advocate for the idea that the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs to be a one-for-one of comics,
right,
it's still in a lot of ways framed in comic books, right? So the Avengers movies are basically a crossover event.
Yep.
Right. The Captain America film is a solo comic. The Thor film is a solo comic, right? So on and so forth. And so the question becomes this, right? If they're like, okay, we have Doctor Doom over here, and we have the Avengers or New Avengers, whatever it is they want to call them, right? I assume they're just kind of like combine them all together, right?
Yeah,
where you basically have Thunderbolts and the Avengers, they just become one Avengers team.
I think so.
Yeah. I don't know what else.
I mean, maybe we get a West Coast event, you know what I mean? Like maybe we would get that, but essentially they're still all Avengers.
Yeah, they're all going to be Avengers. So you have all the Avengers over here, right? You got the Fantastic Four, who are definitely going to become a part of the landscape over here somewhere. And then you have everything going on with Moon Knight, right? You have all these individual projects. And I imagine some of that's going to go away. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they took like Moon Knight and they took She-Hulk and these characters and just rolled them into the Avengers. And that's just when you see them.
Yeah, or
right? As
Midnight
opposed to them having
Suns,
shows.
or
Midnight Suns,
Agent of Atlas or something. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, I think that's kind of what they have to do, though.
Yeah, but the bigger point that I'm making here is when you're telling the individual stories of the characters, unless they're going to do the scenario where they say, you know, if it's not a great big huge crossover movie, then like it's going to be a TV show, right? Or maybe it'll be a film about the X-Men or something like that. Like if it's not an ensemble film, right?
Sure.
An X-Men film, a Fantastic Four film, an Avengers film, something like that. Then it's going to be a TV show. Then again, you risk muddying the waters there, because if you treat it like a comic book line, which is kind of what they've been doing, then you kind of have to tell each story individually, right? Whether it's a character or a team or something along those lines. And for a company that's decreasing their output, that becomes even harder to do, right? So that's why I say, I mean, when you're talking about having 3 or 4 or 5 different groups all running around at the same time doing their own thing, and then having movies that cover what it is that they are doing, that ultimately build up into this great big huge ensemble event, right? This great big huge crossover event. It can make things very complicated, very fast. But at the same time, that's why I say though, I mean, it sounds dope, because don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the idea that the X-Men movies just focus on what the X-Men are doing.
Yes.
And I love the idea that the Fantastic Four movies just focus on what the Fantastic Four are doing. And not every crossover needs to be a huge crossover thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes the crossover things are small, right? Which is just like Doctor Doom decides to attack the X-Men. So the X-Men have to reach out to the Fantastic Four. So the movie is a X-Men Fantastic Four team up against Doctor Doom. Dope, right? There's no Avengers to be seen. There's no Punisher, no Daredevil, none of that stuff. That stuff sounds cool.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's dope. And I love the idea. So that's why I don't necessarily just want to like shit all over everything that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing and like show up into the stream and just be like, oh, it's all doom and gloom, guys, right? And turn into what's his name from Lord of the Rings, flee for your lives. I mean, I don't want to be that kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's just simply looking at both sides. On one hand, this could very well just be, Avengers Doomsday could be the swan song of the MCU, where people just kind of look at it and they're just like, yep, that's where it peaked. And it was just kind of downhill ever since. Or it could just be exactly what they need to breathe some fresh life into it. And I think that a lot of people, they, outside of like, the MCU news pundits like you or Campia or Eric or any of those guys, I think most people out there tend to forget Kevin Feige is a huge ass comic book fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. He's a massive comic book fan. So we literally have a comic book fan running an entire comic book movie studio.
Yes.
So I have faith that he's going to get it right.
Yeah.
I think that if Avengers Doomsday, reading the description of the trailer, that gives me a whole new level of vigor that I didn't have before.
Right. It does. It kind of makes you think it's kind of hard to even conceive of like people saw that shit and were blown away. You know what I mean? Like Shang-Chi fighting Gambit. It's like, that's fucking crazy, dude. Like,
yeah. Oh my God. Like, dude, that right there.
Yeah,
is gonna blow stuff up. That's why I say, and I don't know what direction they plan on going in with like the TV shows and stuff like that. I think a lot of those TV shows need to continue. And I think some of the stories for individual characters just need to continue on in the TV shows. Right, like Wonder Man.
Maybe you
consolidate
I think Wonder Man. You know what I mean? Like maybe you bring them together because I just feel like they're a little too separated. Like Wonder Man should be West Coast Avengers to me. No,
see, I don't have a problem with that, and here's the reason why. Honestly, I have never cared about Simon Williams until I saw the show.
Sure.
Right. I mean, Simon Williams is cool. He's made of ionic energy. It was during Avengers No Way Home or No Road Home or whatever it was. He held his own in a fight against the Hulk, right? It was dope.
He's strong.
Like Wonder Man. Yeah, he's strong. He's a criminally slept on character when it comes to how much power that guy actually has. But Simon Williams in the MCU is way more interesting to me,
sure,
than the comic version of Simon Williams. Having said that, right? I mean, let's use an example here, like kind of the direction they were going in with the Netflix series, Iron Fist, right? Would you rather see a Immortal Weapons, Matt Fraction, Iron Fist story in a movie?
Such a good run, dude.
Yeah, or a TV show. And I think, okay, that's a question for your chat. Those of you guys in the chat, would you rather see the Immortal Weapons, Iron Fist story from Matt Fraction as a movie or a TV show? Because honestly, I think it would be better served as a TV show.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. Like, you're absolutely right, but here's the sort of caveat. And this is where I think Marvel lost a little bit of their identity. Because you're right, but what Marvel maybe forgot was like their movies are a TV show. Like that's what made them different. Before Disney Plus, you didn't have like serialized storylines and character arcs going over 10 plus movies. Like that just wasn't a thing. So Marvel's always kind of treated their movies like it's like a serialized piece of the comic book story, like a trade paperback, if you will. But it also operates as like an episode of television. So like, cause you're totally right, dude, a TV show's better. You spend way more time. You're able to be more intimate. You could have literally more fights, like all of those things. But maybe it's like the way I would think of this, and I'm just spitballing, right? But I would say like, okay, we want to do stuff with Iron Fist. We want to do that run. Let's make this thing into like an event and make it into maybe a two-parter or a trilogy. And then it's like an unfolding story. Now that's a huge commitment. It's a lot of money. So maybe the show's a better way to do it, but that's just my kind of thoughts on it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Dude, seeing Immortal Iron Fist from Matt Fraction on like in a theater,
yeah,
that would be
crazy,
dope, right? Like part one is Orson Randall, like the first movie ends on a cliffhanger, or just do it in two parts, right? The first movie ends on a cliffhanger with Orson Randall just being like, "You're not the first Iron Fist," right? And the second movie is like the whole Immortal Weapons tournament, right? That would be cool. People would,
dude.
Yeah, there'd be some folks who would call foul, and they would just be like, "Oh, Mortal Kombat," and they'd just be like, "Who cares?" Right? Like, I still think it would be dope anyway, right? But I mean, the big question to ask here is Iron Fist popular enough?
No, you're right. That kind of goes back into my other point though, because maybe it's not Iron Fist, maybe it's Heroes for Hire doing some kind of tournament for the sake of Harlem or something. You know what I mean? Like, or you combine Shadowlands and it's
a Heroes for Hire movie would be pretty dope.
That's what I'm saying. Is like we need to like. You're right to call out Danny Rand as maybe just not being popular enough. But like, dude, everybody loves 48 Hours. You know what I mean? Like, everybody loves that Ebony and Ivory shit, bro. Like, get them boys together, let them do their thing. Like, I think it would play, and I think you could do that. You could tap into something that was more than just an Iron Fist thing. But yo, real quick, I want to circle back to RDJ as Doom and Iron Man, because we went on this thing, but I think it's all appropriate because everything we talked about with regards to the concerns after Secret Wars, that's what we're talking about. So now that we've talked about these different teams and maybe, you know, some of the challenges and pitfalls, can you see a scenario in which Downey in a dual role actually is helpful to that scenario? Because I can kind of see it. I
mean, yeah, I can see it, but long term, I don't know. It honestly, it depends on how they handle everybody else. To be quite honest, they would have to use RDJ to get people in the door.
That's what I'm saying.
But then they would have to present everybody else to give people a reason to stay there. And I mean, dude, Josh, let's just call it for what it is, man. Like, how many people here in the chat, right, want to see? Oh my God, I can't remember his name anymore. The one who played the young Magneto in First Class.
Fassbender.
Yeah. How many people want to see Fassbender come back as Magneto? Right.
Dude, I think it'd be sick.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. That would be dope. Yeah. Right. That would be dope as hell. Right. Like keeping Fassbender on as Magneto. That would be phenomenal. Right. James Marsden, I think, is as I understand it, James Marsden is coming back as Cyclops, but only for Doomsday and Secret Wars.
I believe so.
Yeah. Then he's out and he's done.
Yeah.
And honestly, you know, kudos to him. Like, I don't know if you're watching. Was it Your Friends and Family? I think it is. That show with John Hamm. James Marsden is in it, and that show is phenomenal. Like, he's absolutely amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of directions they could go. You know, there's a lot of ways that it can succeed. Just based on the surface and the here and now, and looking at the fact that they were just like, oh, you know, we have RDJ back as Doctor Doom, and the fact that they pushed him so hard. Yeah, Marsden was incredible in Paradise. Oh my God, the episode The Day. Or no, maybe it was the episode after. No,
I've not seen it.
Maybe it was the episode after.
I gotta check that out.
Dude, you haven't seen Paradise?
No, I don't even know what it is, dude. What is it?
Okay. Oh my God, I'm not even gonna tell you. You need to go watch Paradise.
What's it on?
Dude, it's on Hulu. It's got Sterling K. Dude, Sterling K. Brown is incredible in that show.
Okay.
But James Marsden, there's my favorite moment from that show is the episode after. I think it's the episode after The Day. But there's this like argument that takes place between Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden, and it's some of the best acting that I've ever seen. It was like the context is what really makes it.
Okay, nice. Yeah,
but
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And for Damson Idris, the guy that they're supposedly recasting for Black Panther. Oh,
he's in that show too?
No, he's not in there. But a lot of people saw F1, which is a great way to be introduced to his character. You guys, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch Snowfall. Your Friends and Neighbors. That's what it is. You guys need to go watch Snowfall. Like, Damson Idris is incredible in Snowfall. Like, he's absolutely amazing in that show.
Yeah.
I think it's every bit as good as The Wire. But in any event, I think RDJ is good to get people's foot in the door. But I think that what they need to do in order to succeed long term is they need to rely on more than just RDJ.
Oh, totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
And my concern is they won't.
No, I mean, that's a valid concern, especially like because you got to think if Feige goes away, right? Because you know he's eventually going to retire or maybe move up is a better way to say it. But you just can't trust these suits, man. Like they just press the button, they get something to work, and then they just hit the fucking button like a rat in a Skinner box, and it's just like they'll ruin it. You know what I mean? Like you're absolutely right. Like there won't be any balance. They'll just try to put him in everything, and that would suck ass. But I do see how valuable he could be, because like imagine a Midnight Suns movie where they reluctantly need to go get the help of Victor Von Doom. You know what I mean? Like that movie would do very well. Which is
exactly what would happen. That's exactly. Or, dude, better than that. Okay, so here's a really cool idea. And we may have talked about this before. Just bring back what's his name? Secret Defenders from the 90s. Doctor Strange's Secret Defenders.
Oh,
where he just like busts out some tarot cards. right? And he's like, oh my God, Dormammu's coming back. Well, what do the tarot cards say? Okay, cool. So I need a team with Wolverine, Spider-Man, Doctor Doom, and Captain America.
But Rob, that's how it's used in comics. Like that's what you're basically telling is like every writer wants that scene in their event where oh shit, Doctor Doom's somehow involved. Every writer wants to do that. I bet editors have to constantly tell people like no because he's like over here or something,
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you get the Doom element because a lot of people are like, they want to see Doctor Doom, and you don't have to use him. But I think using something like that would be a great way to like showcase other characters. You almost kind of treat it as like an advertisement for other characters without it being called an advertisement. It's kind of a way to get around the show conundrum.
Yeah,
right?
No, I think
and honestly,
so.
Now that I think about it, because I mean, I put that idea out there like years ago, right? Like a few years ago. I think it was one of the last videos that I made on Geek Culture Explained, where I was like, Marvel should do Marvel Presents, right? Where they basically fill in the gaps. Yeah. And then they do Marvel 2-in-1 where they introduce new characters. But what if you just like bypass the whole Marvel 2-in-1 thing and you just have Doctor Strange and his Secret Defenders, right? And just showcase characters that way or introduce new characters.
I think, and I would hope, because like it's, they're big nerds, like you said. Kevin's a big comic book fan, so I would assume they're thinking about similar things and trying to figure it out, and maybe that's some of the rationale with the choices they're making. And again, we really do need to see Doomsday and Secret Wars before we can more accurately think about what it'll all be like afterwards. But the concerns remain, and the concerns are valid. So. It's definitely an interesting conversation for sure, man.
Yeah, like either way, I'm excited to see what they do.
Me too.
But that's why I say like, I think that once the moment passed and the whole, people were able to get past the emotional side of like RDJ playing Doom and able to look at it more rationally, I think people are just kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I can get behind it. But again, long term, right? The MCU 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, assuming that it's still around at that point. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but assuming that it still is, they need to be able to promote and rely on characters outside of Doctor Doom in order for it to have longevity, outside of RDJ. Because if he is doing dual roles as Iron Man and Doctor Doom, then they need to be able to rely on something other than him.
You're absolutely right.
To make it successful. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one because there's a balance and there's a temptation for that easy high. You know what I mean? And RDJ, is that easy high. But yeah, you could ruin it by going too hard on that. And it has to be designed well. Like I liked what you said about like getting people in the door, because I think that's really the idea is like, assuming these Avengers movies go well, he is still that draw. Use that draw, but be very intelligent about how you use it, because he is not going to be around forever. You basically have to do what you did last time better, because it's obvious that you didn't set up enough actual baton passing, actual legacy characters, because it felt so empty without those big guys that you took away. So yeah, they have an opportunity here to maybe do it a little bit better, but you're right. So much caution is necessary with this choice. Yeah,
and okay, so your fans are mentioning like the Maker, right? Like here's the issue with the Maker. Historically speaking, the Maker he's been a prime mover. He's the guy that allows the story to happen.
Right.
Right. Like he's not that dissimilar from Doctor Doom's original introduction in Fantastic Four #5. Right. Like, if you go and you read Fantastic Four #5, for example, right, Doctor Doom is a prime mover in that story. The story doesn't really focus much on Doctor Doom, right? I mean, it's cool because it establishes that like he knows how to overcome the powers of the Fantastic Four, and he's not just some small time villain of the week, right? He shows up, he literally kidnaps, or he takes Susan Storm hostage essentially, and then tells the rest of the team, you need to go on this mission, going back to the days of pirates, and steal Merlin's treasure and bring it to me if you ever want to see Susan Storm alive again, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, he confronts them in the beginning. The middle of the story is a pirate story. And then at the end, they confront Doom, only to find out that they never actually faced him, right? It was a Doom bot the whole time. And he's just like talking on the screen. And then like he flies away in a jetpack. Johnny Storm can't keep up. His powers end up, kind of collapsing out, and that kind of thing. But to me, it needs to be something similar to that, but not exact.
With the Maker,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
with the Maker, because when it comes to the Maker, he's a prime mover very much the same way. So like if you look at Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Universe relaunch, right? He goes like he basically like I guess the newest version of the Maker, right? Ends up going and visiting Miles Morales and saying, "Hey man, I'm going to go recreate the Ultimate Universe. Do you want to come?" Miles is like, "No, I'm good." Like, I don't want to go back there. And so the Maker goes to another universe and changes everything, right? He sets in motion a series of events that allows the rest of the Ultimate Universe line to happen.
Right.
Right. When you look at his involvement during Jonathan Hickman's run in in the Ultimates, right? When it's like the children and all that kind of stuff, the Prime Mover is not the main guy they're fighting. They're fighting what it was the Maker did.
The firmament,
so when you take the Maker,
all that.
Yeah, so when you take the Maker and you roll him in to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what are you going to do with him?
Right.
Right. I mean, is he always just kind of like chilling over there in his city, like Doctor Doom is just chilling over there in his chilling in Latveria, until such a time as he decides to just attack people, in which case you cheapen the Maker.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Like you cheapen the use of him. And so I think the Maker is a cool concept. Don't get me wrong. I love him. Miles Teller should definitely be the Maker. But I think the Maker is one of these villains who shows up. And honestly, I'm not against the idea of Marvel killing him within that movie. Because I'll be honest, as much as I love the Maker now, that dude should have died a long time ago.
Yeah.
And should have stayed dead.
Yeah.
No. A long time ago.
It's tricky too, because one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking about it, I was like, well, especially if they do what we think they're going to do with like Doom and Reed, because Doom is going to have Reed's family in Secret Wars, right? So they're tapping into that. It's really hard to then do another character that's another antithesis of Reed. This one, an actual variant of him. You know what I mean? Like it's going to feel a little too similar. But yeah, maybe they could find a way to utilize him in the next two films in a really fun way. And I bet Secret Wars is going to give them an opportunity to do so many cool things with like different barons and dukes and fights and things that can basically just be wiped from the canon after the film is finished or whatever. But let me ask you a little bit about Apocalypse, man, because big time rumors that Apocalypse and maybe Mr. Sinister are going to be the focus moving into the MCU reboot. What do you make of that? Because we've had Apocalypse. It was kind of a shitty movie, but I think there's a lot of fertile ground there. No.
I feel like this is probably what Campia wanted to hit me up about, if he was going to hit me up about anything.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm pretty
got
sure
it first, Campia, fuck you. No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Campia, if you're listening, man, send me an email right now.
Yeah,
and if that's what you're going to ask me about, I'm going to tell Josh. Sorry about your luck. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I love the idea because I love Apocalypse. I love the history between Apocalypse and Sinister.
Mm-hmm. It's cool, dude. It's cool shit.
I don't
you
know
think
what they
about
do with
Genie. You think about Jean because they want to do Jean, but they got to do something a little different. They can't just do Dark Phoenix again. So,
well, I mean, it's way too early to do the adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Right. Where like they go back in time, and that's where Sinister like confirms that everything he believes about mutants is right. It's way too early, to do something like that. Right. I mean, it'd be kind of cool, I guess, maybe, but it would feel forced and out of place.
Yeah.
Sinister, yes, I love the idea of Sinister. I don't really know where you would get Apocalypse in the middle of all of that. I mean, sure, like Apocalypse, uses technology to turn Essex into Sinister.
Right.
And Essex hates Apocalypse, essentially. But I don't really know how you bring him in that way. I mean, maybe they decided to go X-Men the Animated Series route, where he just like pops up one day. Each generation cries out for a new world. Like maybe it's just something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I feel like Apocalypse is one of those villains that you kind of have to build up to, because I love the idea that Apocalypse. So if you go and you read the old Bob Layton and Jackson Geese X Factor run before Louise Simonson takes over, that Apocalypse was kind of being built up to, but not necessarily. Right? You had like Frenzy and those folks who were operating as like henchmen of Apocalypse. But by the time Apocalypse comes onto the scene, right, with I think it was number 5. I think number 4 is when it's like a silhouette of him, but I think number 5 is when you actually get him. That all that kind of happens at a time where they're kind of slowly building up to him. I think especially in this day and age, they need to slowly build up to the character of Apocalypse.
So maybe they can just Thanos him a little.
Toss him in. Yeah, dude, 100%. Like I would 100% Thanos Apocalypse in the X-Men films, right? If there were like a quote unquote Avengers X-Men style film, right, where it's just like the grand poobah film,
yeah,
for the like this is what we've been building up to, 100% Apocalypse. And truth to tell, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up building up or using like the Fall of Mutants storyline. Right. Where Angel is taken by Apocalypse. You know, he basically ends up becoming his Horseman Death.
Right.
And Apocalypse makes his move. Right. Like that would be a cool thing.
Yeah.
That Apocalypse is secretly like kidnapping members of the X-Men or other mutants.
Right.
Or something along those lines. That would be cool. And that would make for a great storyline. For like what the X-Men are building up to, right? There's a shadow moving out there in the world that is kidnapping mutants or quote unquote providing a cure. You know, so just take X-Men the animated series and toss them to a movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think it would be dope to do that.
Yeah, that could definitely work.
As an X-Men fan, Apocalypse is the guy they need to build up to. I mean, how would you handle it? Like how would you handle Apocalypse?
Well, let me first tell you a couple rumors that are out there, because I want to see maybe if this sparks any ideas for you, because so right now it's kind of, there's some rumors that so in 616, right? It's obvious that the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom were removed. That's why they exist in a parallel universe, right? And so there's some rumors starting to suggest that like He Who Remains was forced to do this. That's why you have X-Men universes. That's why you have Fantastic Four universes. That's why you had Spider-Man universes, because it's almost like the concept of he had to work with Eternity. Like he couldn't go outside of what Eternity was, but he needed to keep them separated so that they wouldn't all work together or whatever. So one of the things that like people like Alex Perez were talking about was that in the original plan, Doctor Doom and the mutants were both going to be a thing that was kept out of the sacred timeline intentionally. And there's a rumor that what's going to happen in the reboot is not a full reboot, actually. And so basically, like, you think of it like this. Like, the way it was explained to me was basically like the heroes are going to have a choice to go back to the Prime universe, which was technically a version where everything existed together, or they have the ability to keep the MCU and just bring the Fantastic Four from their universe into the main universe, and they're going to choose the latter. Like, basically, Secret Wars is a big buildup for the characters to say, even though the Infinity Saga was fake, we still choose it because of all the people we met and all the relationships we had, all the people we love. So in that scenario, Apocalypse would be a thing, maybe from like the Prime universe, or he's something that still didn't happen the way it was supposed to in the main timeline. And I wonder if that interests you, or if that connects to any stories you remember with Apocalypse or X-Men.
I mean, well, number one, that sounds way too convoluted.
It is convoluted. You're not wrong.
That sounds way like the idea that there was more going on than we originally knew with He Who Remains, and the idea that he was intentionally keeping the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers all separated from each other in individual universes. That sounds overly complicated. It sounds like an attempt to provide an in-universe explanation for why things were done the way they were in the MCU, as opposed to what the MCU, which is going to do, is probably going to do, which is that's just how it is, right? Snap our fingers, everybody's in one universe now, done, and like that's it, right? You know, it'll just be that simple. You know, it'll just be that simple. I mean, having said that, in terms of intentionally keeping them all separated, and so what you're saying is that according to Perez, at the end of it all, or at the end of Secret Wars, they get the choice to either jump into a singular universe, or they get to go back to their own universe?
Yeah, so basically think of it like this. So you know how He Who Remains says that he stops the multiversal war and then creates the sacred timeline? So basically, you have to just imagine that before he did that, a more regular comic book version of Marvel existed. So meaning the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Doctor Doom, the Avengers were all in a singular universe and everything was normal. And then basically after the Secret War, He Who Remains decides to keep everything separated for whatever reason. And I think that we'll get the explanation in the next couple of movies. But basically what will happen at the end of Secret Wars, because Doom, from what I've heard, Doom's going to figure this out at some point. And that's how he's going to justify creating a whole new universe. Because he's basically going to tell everybody, even the universe you were living was fake, right? So he's going to justify it by being like, yeah, it was all bullshit. I'm just making a better bullshit version. Now, a lot of the heroes might want to go back to the original version, especially if they get their memories back, okay? But instead, what's going to happen is they're going to keep the canon of the entire 10 years, or I guess 10 plus years of Marvel now. All of that still happened, and now they're just going to bring the X-Men and Fantastic Four in now, as opposed to a reboot.
What you're talking about is, you're talking about Rebirth. Like, that's all DC Rebirth did.
Sure.
Right? All Rebirth did is they said, okay, like New 52 happened, everybody gets rebooted. It's been 5 years since the superheroes have been around. And here's the history of those characters in 5 years.
Right.
Fans hated it. They rejected it. So then DC came back and they said, actually, what happened is Dr. Manhattan came from the Watchmen universe into the main DC universe and then changed the timeline.
Yes.
So a lot more has happened. People just didn't know it because the timeline had been modified.
Correct.
So then Dr. Manhattan sets everything back to rights. And now all that history is intact. And then you build up on that with Dark Crisis, where what Snyder and them said was that because of the events of Dark Crisis, everything that's ever happened since Crisis on Infinite Earths is now in continuity. It's part of everyone's history.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So essentially what the New 52 should have been. So that sounds like what Perez is talking about, is if he's saying that, at the very, like at point zero, if we want to call it that, right, there was the singular universe as we know it, right? The Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, every superhero team that you can think of that exists in any universe out there.
Yeah, like Stan and Jack's Fantastic Four run, basically. Those 100 issues,
Yeah, they all existed in this one universe. And then the war happened with the Council of Kings, right? Everything went sideways. And so He Who Remains basically ended up ending the war, but in doing that, split everybody off into their own individual universes where they've been ever since, none the wiser to how things used to be.
Correct.
And then now, because of how Secret Wars ends, they all get woken up to the truth of how things used to be, and they can go back to the way that things were before the Kang War broke out.
But
sure,
they won't.
But that is,
but they won't. Because that would be too complicated, in my opinion. Because here's the thing.
That whole story, like that whole idea is too complicated. That whole idea is way too complex.
Yeah, no, you could make the argument that Marvel's frankly too complicated in general, and that they don't have a good way out of this either way. But I think this is why Kevin says stuff like, if you've ever noticed, he doesn't want to call it a reboot, and he keeps saying like a reboot is a scary word. So like he keeps saying that, and he's like, no, it's a reset. So he's not even calling it a reboot, and the reason why
is semantics.
Well, it is semantics, but it's also an indication of the philosophy that Parliament has, which is that it won't reboot. They're going to keep everything. Like, that's their plan. They might lose some things that happen in Phase 4 and 5. Like, I would imagine they're going to lose Secret Invasion and, some of these other things. But by and large, that's how it's been explained to me. The canon's just going to be exactly what it was. Secret Wars will not have existed for most people. Doomsday will have. And then they'll just move forward from Doomsday, basically.
Yeah, so...
and I guess what I'm asking is, how could you see the character of Apocalypse having something to do with that? Because frankly, if the rumors are true that they're going to keep Stark and Doom, I think they're doing that because they're actually not going to perfectly resolve whatever was going on with them in Secret Wars. They're going to leave that lingering as something to explore later on, because it's a paradox. If what I think is happening, then both of them being in the same universe after Secret Wars is a paradox. That shouldn't be a thing. They're variants. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, but that's why I say, like, so
it's complicated,
imagine Crisis.
For sure.
Yeah, imagine Crisis on Infinite Earths without the reboot, or not even, maybe even that.
You're right. That's exactly right. Yeah,
like, without the reboot. Yeah, right. I mean, all that's going to happen, like the way that I see it playing out, is all that's going to happen, because remember, the incursions are still going on, and I imagine Avengers Doomsday is actually going to give us an answer to what the incursions are, and like how they started and all that. I think so. Because right now it's just like, whenever someone leaves their universe, they take their universe with them. And, and I imagine that it happens with anybody who leaves their universe, but how many people can actually leave their universe, right? So everyone's tethered and anchored to the reality. Sure. And all it's going to be is just like whenever anyone leaves their universe in any capacity, right? Doctor Strange from the Illuminati universe who was dreamwalking, or Scarlet Witch doing the same thing, they pull their universe with them and they cause an incursion, right? There's going to be a more solidified explanation. The way that I see this playing out is that over the course of Avengers Doomsday, like we're going to end up learning the incursions have been happening all this time, and there's just no way to end it. So basically, Doomsday is going to be, the incursion aspect of Hickman's Avengers, New Avengers, going into Secret Wars for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which means all you're really going to have is Battleworld, right? And everybody's going to be trying to like defeat Doctor Doom, right, or whatever the case is.
Yep.
Once that's done, there's not going to be any more multiverse, right? Once Secret Wars ends, it's simply going to be it's Loki or whoever who's going to say, because of the incursions, the multiverse is gone. Like this, like we're all that's left, right? We're all that's.
You mean post Secret Wars? You think they're still not going to have a multiverse?
No, they're not going to have one. I think post Secret Wars. That's why I say they're going to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they're going to New Earth, right? After Crisis on Infinite Earths, there was no multiverse. All you had was just the New Earth universe. That was it. It was one reality.
Yeah.
That's why DC came up with hypertime, right, as a way to explain effects in the time stream, and so on and so forth. But all that's going to happen is that at the end of Avengers Secret Wars, by whatever manner and whatever means, the multiverse cannot be restored. There's no saving it.
I would love that. I gotta tell you, I don't think so, but I would love that, because that gives you a whole new thing, a whole new stake. Like there's new stakes. That's why I say, like, I think whether it's because Loki dies, because Loki's like he's the guy holding it all together at the moment. Sure.
And so if Loki's dead, there's no one to hold the multiverse together. And the multiverse is permeated by the energy of Loki.
I'd love that shit, Rob. I would love that, because that's what Starlin tried to do, and then they all hated it.
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, that's what I think is going to happen, right? Whether it's because Doctor Doom finds Loki, kills him, and now all that energy being permeated by Loki to hold the multiverse together is gone, and so the multiverse goes right back to where it was before Loki grabbed it, where it's all basically dead. And what's left of the superheroes who escaped it are just like out there on Battleworld created by Doom. That's where Secret Wars happens, whatever it is. However it ends up ending, right? There is no more multiverse anymore. There's just one singular timeline.
Yeah.
Right. And that is, maybe there's just like enough energy left to save one universe, right? Whatever it is. And that saved universe is now the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward.
Right.
And so that's how you end up with Pedro Pascal and everybody from the Fantastic Four in the main Marvel Universe, right? That's how you end up with the X-Men in the main Marvel Universe, or whoever they end up going with. Sure. I think the rumor mill still says that Hugh Jackman is going to stick around. So maybe he's like, because keep in mind, he's like a Wolverine without a home.
Yes.
Right. Like all of his X-Men are dead. He can't go back. Right? Yes. So he's literally a man out of place, right? That's
but
how you end up with Deadpool.
He has a home in our hearts, though, Rob.
He has a home in our hearts. But basically, like all the superheroes that exist now are going to be condensed down. How the X-Men fit into that, I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be much easier to kind of go with the idea that they're just going to grab the X-Men from like an alternate reality and roll them in. It makes it much easier to explain. I mean, it's a lot easier to say, hey guys, we have X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. Where do they come from? That universe over there from Secret Wars, and now they're here. Done.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to do like an origin story for all of them. Right.
No,
like,
you're right. And I think that these are a lot of things they're probably thinking about too, right? Like they're trying to think of these considerations and I mean, I don't know, because I think particularly because of some of the arrangements that maybe they have with like Sony, I still think there probably will be a multiverse, but it's possible they'll consolidate it a lot, and the multiverse that we knew before is mostly gone. So like maybe 838's like gone forever, and maybe we find a version that feels similar or something. But these are all really interesting concepts and ideas. But just one more, I gotta just try to circle back to the apocalypse. So could you think of a way that because think of this scenario, even in the scenario you're talking about where there's one universe left, would Apocalypse be able to realize what happened and feel somewhat like scorned by it, and then try to like take extra revenge? Because there was this rumor that in the original version, like let's say Jonathan Majors hadn't gotten in trouble and the Quantum Mania movie had like done better or whatever, the rumor was they were still going to do this, but they just would have done it as a side story in Doomsday, and then, or in Secret Wars, and then Doctor Doom was going to be revealed to be this big evil threat that the Kangs were trying to prevent. And essentially, like, the rumor was the next saga would have shown that maybe they were right, because Doom was going to be such a threat. I don't think they're doing that anymore now, because it's all front-loaded in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But could you see a scenario in which Apocalypse becomes a figure like that? Were there any stories where he did something like that?
Where he became like a massive universal threat?
Yes, where he became... No. Okay.
Not really. The closest you get to anything like that is like the 12. Right, where he basically starts absorbing power from these various mutants. And And even then, like it gets kind of wonky because like I know like X-Men 97, for example, is doing like the whole story where Gambit becomes a Horseman Death. So that was the Blood of Apocalypse storyline in Marvel Comics, and that's when you end up that was part of Decimation or the aftermath to House of M. So Extinction, endangered species and all that kind of stuff. But that's a point where you end up learning that during the old Cable and Deadpool stories, where Cable went back in time to confront Apocalypse. And then Cable's blood infected Apocalypse, which is what allowed Apocalypse to communicate with Celestial technology. He struck a deal with the Celestials, right? That they would let him use their technology for quote unquote payments later or something like that. You never really find out.
You never find out what the payments were.
Yeah. But during the Blood of Apocalypse, that's when the Celestials come back.
Okay.
Because Apocalypse sees the aftermath of Decimation as a chance to rally mutants around him and then basically use them as a defense against the Celestials when the Celestials return. They take him away. He's gone for a little while and then he comes back. And I don't think it ever explained what happened while he was gone. I don't remember that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But that's about the closest you get. Like you never really get an instance where Apocalypse is like a Thanos level threat.
Sure.
Right, where he's like Infinity Gauntlet's mine or something like that.
Maybe it's time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily see that. Apocalypse, for the most part, has always just kind of been an opportunist.
Sure.
Within Marvel Comics. Outside of the Krakoa age, he's always been an opportunist, right? When he pops up, it's like time to test the mutant population. And now that the mutant population's at its weakest, it's the best time to do that. Or like if you're looking at the Onslaught saga, right? Where Onslaught's going haywire and Apocalypse spends like 60% of the story arc just watching it all unfold with Uatu. And then he's just like, Onslaught has Franklin. Like, I'm going to go in there and get Franklin. And then Susan Storm makes herself invisible, follows him in, realizes what he's doing, and then stops him before he can take Franklin and absorb his powers or anything like that.
Okay.
Or he's always trying to like take a host body for himself.
Yeah.
Or, something to that capacity, right? Like he tried to do that with Cable during the old X Factor comics. So he's more of an opportunist than anything else. So that's why I say like, now that's Apocalypse as I know him.
Sure.
And that's Apocalypse as we know him in Marvel Comics.
Right.
But if the MCU is great at doing anything, it's taking characters and just completely modifying and changing them. I don't know how I feel about Apocalypse becoming this universe level threat. I don't know if I like that. But I like Apocalypse being very much an X-Men level threat and somebody who's like a real challenge for the superheroes on Earth. As crazy as it's going to sound with someone like him, I feel like Apocalypse becoming this universe level threat is kind of overkill.
Yeah.
So
no, I could definitely see that. I wonder, I wonder a little bit what Marvel's thinking because he is a very popular character. If they get The Rock, because there's rumors that they're trying to get Dwayne Johnson, right? So if they get Dwayne Johnson as Apocalypse, I mean, that's a big deal. It's like a super big deal. The Rock, you love him or hate him, he's still a massive star. He has a huge draw, and people will be excited that he is Apocalypse, and he'll be able to sell those promos. Like, can you imagine The Rock cutting a promo as fucking in Saba Nur? Like, just like, holy shit, dude. Fucking, But, amazing. It would be amazing, yeah. And I don't know. I think maybe there's some fertile ground there. Maybe there's a way for them to connect him to Mad Celestials, and he's corrupted, or even the firmament corrupts him or something. I don't know. Maybe
I think you're overthinking it. Yeah, I think you're overthinking it. Like,
I just want to go big. I want to go big, Rob.
Yeah, I totally get it. Okay, I got to bounce off here. I got to head out.
No worries, man.
It was cool, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man, and be well. And whenever you're feeling it, pop back in. We always love hearing from you over here.
Yeah, I'll be back to business as usual in like a week. So, yeah.
Well, enjoy your break, man. Enjoy your break.
All right, man. I'll catch you later, dude.
All right, brother. Be well.
All right, bye.
Peace. All right, chat. Give it up for Mr. Rob from Comics Explained. Give him some love, man. Always good to hear from Rob. Let me catch up on a couple of super chats here, and then we got a couple other things to talk about. And also, too, Rob doesn't even realize this, or maybe he does, but he really helped me out because... with my surgery, I was a little worried about talking the whole time. So he came in and helped me fill some air. So really appreciate that, Rob. Hope you're doing well, buddy. All right, let me catch up on some of these chats here. Heather will save herself a reboot. Get him out of here. I never grew past 5th grade. What's puberty? Jesus Christ. Get him out of here. RS Cartel, 48 months, says emergency gallbladder removal yesterday. Oh, my God. Resting up and watching the stream. Stay strong, nerd Avengers. Well, I'm glad you got that sorted out. I'm glad you're recovering, brother. It's crazy, man. Health, I mean, the thing that's wild about health is, like, it really puts things into perspective, man. Like, you could be worrying or be very excited about any number of things, and then you lose your health or it's a big health concern, even in you or your family, man, it makes so many things just disappear, and it's a very sobering thing. So glad you're doing all right, buddy. Caitlin says, can't wait for the Solo Blade movie that'll make $800 million. Then Netflix will release the documentary on the fiasco behind the movie's production. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like we do need a documentary on it. By the way, one of my favorite documentaries I ever watched was about Terry Gilliam, I think, trying to create his Don Quixote movie. I think it's called Lost in La Mancha. It's an incredible documentary, dude. He did eventually make that movie, actually, with Adam Driver. But for a while, that movie was cursed and, like, nobody could make it. And he tried to make it, and a whole bunch of, like, borderline supernatural shit happened. It's really wild. You should watch that doc. But yeah, man, maybe they'll do a doc on that. Appreciate the love, buddy. Super Trev, thanks for the 10 spot, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Says kudos to Scott Snyder for putting on a great, cheap Whatnot show yesterday in the wake of heavy metal's generational fumble of its absolute Batman release. So many big boom giveaways yesterday. So I don't fully know what that is, but I'm imagining, just in the context of your message here, that Whatnot tried to do an official absolute Batman released and botched it, and it was really bad, and then Scott Snyder stepped up and did his own version of it to make up for that. That's incredible, man. I really respect Scott a lot. I think he's just an incredible creator, and you know, he's certainly got a crazy, messed up, dark mind or whatever, but he makes great art, and he's done a lot for comics, man. Like, what he's currently doing for comics right now is like what I feel like people like McFarlane and Liefeld did for comics in, like, the 90s when, like, I was getting into it. So I'm so glad that there's a guy like Scott out there doing what he is doing for comics right now. It's pretty fucking cool. Paul says, heard something about Spidey not surviving Brand New Day. Thoughts? Well, I think he will survive, but does he die and then come back to life? That's an interesting question. Yeah, I think he'll survive, but he's got a big role in Secret Wars and then more movies after that. So, but yeah, appreciate the question. Stream is frozen. You're the homie, by the way, Josh. Yeah, sorry about the frozen stream. Okay, all right. I think we're caught up on our chats here. So let's get into just a couple more things, then we'll call it a day today, okay? All right, let's see here. Okay, well, you know what? We talked a good bit about the Doom 3 thing, a good bit about that. I tell you what, let's talk about the these X-Men things here coming out from Daniel R.P. of the K. All right, so interesting thing happened yesterday. Daniel RPK put out a couple of things that basically, like, we already knew, but it's always good when a reliable source comes forward to corroborate something that was out there, because now we can pretty much confirm that this is real. So here's a report here. It says Ryan Reynolds is reportedly working to bring Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, along with Cable and Storm, into his upcoming Deadpool team-up movie. Source Daniel R.B. Okay, now this also piggybacks off of Alex Perez, the Cosmic Circus, and the Q&A they did yesterday, where he did talk about this a bit as well. This, of course, piggybacks off of stuff that I've been talking about for a long, long time, because somebody told me this a long, long time ago. And yes, he does want Cynthia Orvino for Storm, which is an absolutely terrible idea, and the whole world needs to tell him that. Sorry, Ryan. That's dumb. So, what do you guys think, man? I mean, we kind of already knew this. You know, it's interesting that Ryan makes comments the other week about being an ensemble, the fact that he's writing stuff. So this project's real, dude. And, like, he's literally writing these characters and trying to figure this out. He wants the ensemble. And this Storm, from what I have heard, is the new Storm, the actual MCU X-Men Storm. Now, does that mean you can get Storm and other X-Men characters, other New Mutants in the MCU reset? Maybe. You know, I guess that would make sense. And this sort of falls in line with things we were talking about, where it really seems like Marvel wants to use Deadpool and leverage his popularity to help bring in the new X-Men team. Kind of a little bit like what Rob and I were speculating about with like maybe how to use RDJ past Secret Wars as well. Reynolds is a big star as Deadpool, of course, a huge draw. So this is this is kind of interesting here. And so I guess like we can pause for a second here and wonder what you guys think about that. There was one other addition to this story, and that's just that a new Wolverine project is in development at Marvel Studios as well. This comes from Daniel RPK. And again, this ties in to what Alex was talking about how Wolverine is not going to be a part of the new X-Men thing, which is another thing that we talked about a long time ago. By the way, Magneto is not going to be a part of this new X-Men thing either. Magneto's doing a Brotherhood of Mutants thing. So they're doing Brotherhood of Mutants. They're doing some kind of solo Wolverine project. They're doing X-Men. And then they're doing X-Men in the Deadpool sequel. So that really does appear to be how it's all going down. And I guess I'll just say what I've said every single time when we've talked about this. Man, it just worries me a little bit. You know, I like Deadpool. Like, I wouldn't sit here and say I don't like Deadpool, but I don't know that I'm really feeling Deadpool these days as much. And the jokey fourth wall breaking thing does get a little old. And especially because Deadpool will be a part of the next two Avengers movies, it's hard to imagine, like, him undercutting serious moments in Avengers movies. And then, the next big Marvel thing is X-Men with Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds got Cynthia to be Storm. You know what I mean? So there's like a scenario here where this is going a very bad way, and I'm very upset with Ryan fucking Reynolds. So, I guess again, it's good to have all this confirmed. What do you make of this, chat? What do you make of no Wolverine in your main team? What do you make of Cynthia being Storm? Oh, God, please, no. Oh, God, no. Please don't do it. Wolverine solo project, Magneto in the Brotherhood of Mutants project. What do you think about this shit? Jackman over Reynolds. Yeah, Hugh Jackman, I think so, too. And also, that's probably why they want him to do that movie. And remember, they want to do a lot more, at least, I think, 2 more movies that will make a trilogy of movies with Deadpool and Wolverine together. That's what I heard. So they're going to do that. They might do a new Wolverine as well in that Wolverine solo project. So you can imagine you got your Deadpool project, which is like X-Force, with new Storm, old Wolverine, old Cable. And then you're going to have a solo Wolverine project, which is very likely to be your new Wolverine. I think that's pretty smart. You know, like, I think that tracks, and I think that's a really good way to get a lot of those characters out there and operating in a way that'll excite fans. So what do you guys think, man? What do you think of that stuff? No, Cynthia Storm, no! Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that would be good. I'm just reporting what I heard, man. I'm taking everything with a pinch of salt. It's a good thing to do, yeah. Wolverine vs. Omega Red, give it to me. Oh, yeah, dude, that would be sick. That would be sick. Brotherhood feels a little early. Well, you know, I don't really know what to expect from a Brotherhood project. You know, Brotherhood of Mutants has always existed in the other X-Men movies or the other X-Men shows, if they're, like, animated. What would a Brotherhood of Mutants project even look like? Like, I kind of have trouble wrapping my head around that, right? I don't know. And then there's also stories that, like, maybe Denzel is the new Magneto, you know, and that's a Black Panther 3 thing. There was old rumors that Denzel Washington would be Magneto. So it's like, okay, is that what they're cooking? Could Black Panther 3 connect? Because you kind of see, like, Black Panther 3, and then you got Storm over here in the Deadpool John. Well, is there, like, a connection there where, like, you know, we know Storm is eventually going to marry T'Challa, maybe, right? So maybe there's something like that. Hugh Jackman is pushing 60 and looks like we get a new one? Yeah, I mean, I think you probably will get a new one, but here's what I would say. He's actually perfect for the role now. He actually aged into the role. You go back and watch X-Men 1, and he's, like, too good looking, dude. Like, I'm sorry, that's not Wolverine. Like, he has the attitude, he did a great job, but that's not Wolverine. He looks more like Wolverine now than he ever did, because Wolverine is hundreds of years old, and he didn't take good care of himself. Wolverine literally should look like a little fucking beat up gremlin, like dead ass. So you're not wrong about him looking 60. It's just ironic that he's actually now perfect to play Wolverine for like at least 10 to 15 more years. That's what I would say. But also, too, I think you will get a new Wolverine. I think you're probably going to need a new Wolverine. I actually think the new Wolverine might be somewhat of an unknown, which is interesting because I wonder how that'll play, right? Like you got Hugh Jackman Wolverine over in your Deadpool movie, and then there's a new solo Wolverine project with like the new Wolverine. I wonder how that'll go. A beat up gremlin. Yeah, I mean, he's fugly, dude. Like, he's not a good looking guy, you know? Magneto, Mystique, Emma, Sebastian Shaw, Destiny, Pyro, Toad, Goated Brotherhood team. That's a good one, yeah. And I hope he's the proper height this time too. Yeah. Little. I think the thing I want to see is a stocky build. So he doesn't have to like be 5'3" exactly, but as long as he's stocky and not like the 6'4" Australian model, I think we're probably going in a good direction. But at the same time, respect to Hugh Jackman because he's such a good actor that he was a very good Wolverine despite not looking like him. You know what I mean? So there's something to be said for that too. Lupita Storm? I guess I could see it. I'll be really interested to see who they'll select as Storm, you know? Again, like, please, anybody but Cynthia, but at the same time, what if it's someone worse? You know, I don't know. We'll see. I like Hugh, but it's time to pass the torch, buddy. Yeah, and maybe that is what they're doing, you know? They're just trying to, like, have their cake and eat it, too. Like a couple more Hugh Jackman Wolverine movies while you're building up your new Wolverine. Is that really so bad? Did I see the Clayface poster? I did not. Should I look at it? Should I look at the Clayface poster, guys? I don't see it, dude. I don't see it at all, which means my algorithm is incredible. Like, I didn't realize my algorithm was this good. Like, keep that fucking Clayface James Goon shit away from me, you know what I mean? Like, fuck that shit, bro. Fuck out of here. All right, anything else on this thing with the X-Mans and RPK and all that? Any other thoughts, chat? Isn't it crazy that, like, I told you this 2 years ago? You want to know a secret? I'm pretty sure Daniel told me it 2 years ago. I can't actually remember who told me it, but it was probably Daniel. Is there a Clayface trailer? Let me check my notes. Oh, the correct answer here says, who gives a shit? I remember. Nice. I think James Lawson should be Storm, and Coogler should introduce her in Black Panther 3 since he already know her from Sinners. I don't know who that is, but if it's who I'm thinking of, that's a good pick. I remember when when Sinners was popping off, a lot of people had a take like that. Yeah. Yo, by the way, they played a clip to The Mandalorian Grogu last night on late night TV. Dude, that shit is so embarrassing. How did this happen? Mando Grogu is so fucking embarrassing. My God. James Goon Post is doing numbers. People are excited for it. That's great. I'm glad they're excited for it. Sinners is forever popping off. Oh, damn. Okay. You guess on X-Men team, they said 05 with 3 members. I think it's Storm, Rogue, Kurt. Yeah. I would say Angel. I think Angel's going to be a part of it. Jean, Cyclops, Colossus. Maybe Kitty Pryde. Because Huts are cool. Are Huts cool, though? How does Nightcrawler versus Ant-Man fight in Doomsday sound? Sounds pretty cool to me. Sounds like a lot of shenanigans, dude. Answer you, don't make me beg. No, bro. And now, because you said that, I'm going to especially not answer you. In fact, I'm blocking your ass, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry, buddy. That's how the cookie crumbles, you know what I mean? Maybe next time try shutting the fuck up. Ask a doctor if shutting the fuck up sounds right for you. Can I be blocked? No. What's worse, Disney, Star Wars, or the DCU? Star Wars for sure, brother. Star Wars for sure. Free him. I'm seeing Michael early tonight. Not too excited, but this girl into it. Dude, why is that movie getting shit on so bad? Yeah, Paul, I'm pretty sure I got your answer there, bud. Let me see here. What did Paul say? Heard something about Spidey not surviving Brand New Day. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit. It's possible he dies and comes back to life. Maybe there's some symbiote action, maybe some other stuff with the actual other. But yeah, you missed mine? No, I read yours, brother. I remember. She def needs promo work, though. What? Nightcrawler fights Mr. Fantastic? Yeah, that would be cool, too. Did you see the Sadie Sink image? Hell yeah. I love this fucking family show, or this family fucking show, says Mr. Poppy. Hell yeah, Nerve Enders for life. Got a glove and shit. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I saw the Sadie Sink thing. Yeah, I don't know. People are really shitting on that movie, huh? It can't be that bad, right? Like, what did they do? Just like goobly glob that shit together? Like, I don't understand. By the way, the set photos coming out of Elden Ring look so cool, dude. Oh my god, they cooked with that movie. And by the way, the trades, I don't know if you guys saw this. The trade paperbacks, the trade Hollywood trades actually confirmed my report that Elden Ring movie is their highest budget A24 movie ever. It's over $100 million. It's bigger than their Civil War movie. So I'm glad that report is out there for people to believe. Because, dude, they really are cooking, and I'm very excited for it. That's going to be cool. Brady Mercer, welcome back to the Nerd Vengeance, brother. You are a Nerd Venger now. It's mostly because I have an ending. Hopefully don't use the clause I found in Michael Jackson Trails. Oh, they don't have an ending? Aw, man. There's an iPhone in the Michael movie? Aw, man. A24 is pretty solid. Yeah, I like a lot of their stuff. Clayface poster is scary. Oh man, don't be afraid. You'll be all right, bud. Don't be afraid, bud. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I like want to stream tomorrow, guys, but I might not, just because I think it's smart to just let my mouth heal a little bit more. Like, I'm feeling all right today, but like really, Rob really helped me out. So serendipitous and good. I'm going to get out of here today. We'll wrap this segment up here, and then I'm going to get on out of here. Okay. Maybe we'll stream tomorrow. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just record a couple of clips, but we should be able to stream on Friday again. And then hopefully next week we go back to normal. Because I'd like to be doing more streams and more fun stuff. We got a lot more content to make, you know what I mean? But just a funny week here, trying to rest my jaw, you know? Rossi says Michael doesn't cover most of the 90s due to one of the court case settlements for some accusations. What was settled? Oh, wow. Okay, so maybe people are having trouble connecting to it because there's so much that they had to work around. Is that fair to say? Josh, you need to rest your face. You're actually right for once. New Arc Raiders map in a week. Ooh, I'm curious if Friendly Raider like to be evil. Much love, sir. I'm a Friendly Raider mostly. Now, sometimes I'll go in if I'm bored, like, and I'll just try to snipe other players and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm pretty chill. But yeah, I'm excited. They had to cut out parts of the movie that were already completed. No way, really? Oh, that's a shame, dude. Dang. That's a shame, man. For once is crazy. Okay, maybe not for once. You get the idea, though. Jeez. All right, everybody. Let's see here. Scream Killer says Mando Grogu is unfortunately really going to bomb. Only one showing on Thursday night released is packed. No showings for day one. Yeah, I think it's gonna bomb pretty badly, guys. And I guess we'll talk about that when it happens. But I'm like pretty over Star Wars. So Michael had to reshoot the whole third act because of it. Damn, that sucks ass, dog. That sucks because this movie looks so good. I thought the trailer was incredible, and obviously he's such a force of nature. You know, maybe the second most popular person in history, just second to Jesus. Like fucking Michael was the guy. And it also kind of sucks because you know so much of his career was, especially towards the end, was fucked with by certain people. So it's a shame that like even this movie seems to have been fucked with a little bit, you know? Damn. That's tough. It's a 2-part movie? Ain't no way, really? There's another part coming out? Okay. Well, that should help. Fuqua's a great director too, so he did what he could. Yeah, man. Ah, shit. I forgot it was him too. Damn. Yeah, he's really talented. Ugh. Hey, man, you know, life is like that sometimes, and he probably did the best he could. Okay, 2-parter, right. Okay, cool. I think so, Scream Killer. Unfortunately, I don't like it, but I do think so, yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, I really appreciate it. Thank you, iFlow. Thanks for all the love today, guys. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Rob. Always good to hear from Rob. I hope you're enjoying your break, brother. Just be well and, you know, just take it easy, man. I know you will. And, yeah, chat, we'll be back at it. Clips will post later. Posted a big video on the main channel earlier today all about why Doomsday is going to be the best Marvel movie ever, and I can prove it with science and Venn diagrams and measurements and beakers and sine and cosine. It's a crazy video. It's very involved. Go check it out. Watch it 16 times, please. Much love, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here. Go do stuff and have fun. As I always say, I hope you, that's right, you, are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Hey, how about that? Nice little call with Rob today. That was much appreciated. Felt like it was a good time. It was good to catch up. Got a couple good clips out of it. And I hope you guys had a good entertaining time. I feel like Rob and I have a good rapport. You know, we think similarly about these things. We're able to challenge each other politely. He's a good guy. You know, really, really grateful to call him a friend. And glad that he was able to call in today. So that's great. I got to go rest my face. I'm going to go ice my jaw a little bit. Sounds so stupid, but I got to do it. Really appreciative of the support and the patience lately. I know I haven't been making as many videos, but I'm hoping that'll change soon. And there's a lot of stuff I am working on. So yeah, we got a lot of nerd venging to do, man. We're staring down the barrel of Spider-Man's brand new Jean Grey. And Avenger Doomsday, Josh was right, and nobody's gonna be able to handle it. And then we got the Secret Wars. Or as I'm calling it, I fucking told you. Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Much love, man. Get on out of here. Do me a favor before you do. Actually, make it two. I'm gonna need you to open up that third eye and wash out that stinky butthole. Okay, bye-bye.